In my last video, I sourced 18 nightstands to flip in an assembly line to see just how efficient furniture flipping can be. In this video, I'm going to be prepping all 18 nightstands in an assembly line, and then I will be refinishing the first batch in white. Now, white, black, and faux wood are my top 3 selling furniture colors, but I really want to put it to the test and see which color sells the best. For this first batch, I'm going to be using Melange Modern Enamel paint because it doesn't require a top coat. So I want to make this as efficient and fast as possible. So I opted for a more expensive paint that does not require a top coat. Now, we've already spun the wheel to see which nightstands are going to be white, set number 2, 3, and 5. For set number 2, I spent $50 for the pair. I got both of them at the warehouse from Colson. Set number 3, I sourced from a thrift store at $13 each, so I am $26 in. And set number 5, I found on Facebook Marketplace and kind of paid up for a little bit at $100 for the set. I did pay $30 for delivery, but I'm not going to count that because that was just me being lazy. Or should we count it? I don't know. Let me know in the comments. Set number 2 is a little bit of a tricky one because they're not even the same height. So we're going to deal with that. Set number 3 actually looks very similar in size when you take the feet off of one of them. And then set number 5 is obviously already a match. So we're going to work our magic with the first 2 sets and see how we can make these as close as possible, but it doesn't have to be perfect. This might piss some people off, but this just does not go with the other nightstand, so. Okay, now I'm gonna go in and remove any of the chunky trim that I know I don't want to keep. Again, I like some of these trim pieces, but to make them sets, it just doesn't match. Like, it doesn't make sense to keep. I should have just left the trim on these because they're causing me so much more trouble and work. I'm gonna have to fill all this veneer now and somehow get these nails out. It's all right. I'm gonna end up having to get some sort of trim to fill in these gaps and on that other nightstand. These just aren't doing it for me. Okay, now I'm gonna take the feet off of this one so I can put on some matching ones. Oh, they're screwed in. I wasn't able to get some of these nails out, so I just used my Heart multi-tool to trim it flush with the surface, and then I'll smooth it out with Bondo. All right, I'm gonna call it a wrap for today because I need to get new feet to put on these pieces. I would have liked to get to cleaning today, but I spent so much time this morning getting the before videos. So no biggie. Hopefully tomorrow I will be able to install the new bases and feet and clean them and prep them for paint. That's ambitious, but I think it can be done. I just need to wake up a little earlier tomorrow. Today is going to be probably the hardest day of this entire challenge. I got some wood from Home Depot. I got a 2x4 to create some supports for the feet that I ordered. And I got a piece of trim to fill in the gaps where I pulled the old trim off. If you want to learn how to build a new furniture base, I have a more in-depth tutorial on that linked in the description below. Investing in a simple pocket hole jig will open up the door to so many different design possibilities for you. It's really important that you're not just slapping feet on your furniture, but actually giving it some sort of structure to hold on to. This definitely isn't my favorite choice of trim for this piece, but it fits so perfectly, and it also fit great with the other piece. So I don't want to spend any more money than I already have. All right, now these two should be the same height now, so I can add the legs and they'll be level. Perfect. I bought poplar for this base because it's cheaper than red oak, but it doesn't take stain very well, so I'm gonna use the Retique gel stain in the color pecan because it doesn't absorb into the wood quite like regular stain, and it's just kind of gonna sit on top and add color to it. This definitely did not take evenly. I don't like the way the wood grain looks, but no worries. I'm just gonna let it dry and then come back in with a coat of the Retique wooden primer and then redo the pecan stain, and it should look even. It's just that poplar is such a poorly stained looking wood. It didn't make sense. Yeah, anyways. Okay, I did not expect it to take me almost all week just to rebuild the bottoms of these pieces and build bases for them, but it is what it is. It's Friday and I'm gonna go ahead and try to get everything clean today and fill in all of my damage with wood filler. I'm gonna be putting these back on after I clean it because I don't wanna get the filth all over them. All right, everything is pretty much leveled out to be the same height, and we're ready to finally get started cleaning and prepping. I'm gonna start out by vacuuming everything out, and then I'm gonna come in and clean it with soap and water. Because I'm using Retique products on one of the sets, I'm not gonna be using TSP because that is not compatible with that product. So a good old dish detergent works just as good. Dish soap, like hand soap, Dawn. I keep getting comments asking if it's okay to put water on wood furniture, and in my experience, it's totally fine as long as you don't have any sort of exposed particle board or MDF, because that will cause it to swell. You can use something like mineral spirits or denatured alcohol in that case. This one's filthy. I gotta bring out the more heavy-duty guy. As I'm working and prepping and cleaning, it's really important that I address any issues as I see them because I might forget about them. So I'm gonna go ahead and fix this. you see why I labeled my drawers? This is pure chaos. The only thing getting me through this prep work is the fact that I know once it's done, it's gonna be smooth sailing and just painting from here on out. This is the hard part, and I'm getting it all out of the way up front. I just have to get through this. Yeah, I could do it. All right, so I can't even walk anymore to sand. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull all my drawers inside. They're labeled, so I should be fine. I won't get anything mixed up. What have I gotten myself into? I'm gonna sit and contemplate my life over yogurt. I think I'm gonna go in with a Bondo or a 2-part epoxy first and fill all the big damages, then come back and scuff sand and fill all the nicks and dings. It's definitely gonna take 2 rounds because some of these pieces are very damaged. All right, I'm using Bondo because I have a lot of it on hand. It dries super fast though, so I'm gonna put it in a couple different spots and then just mix in the hardener as I go. Now for the smaller nicks and dings, I'm just gonna come in with this little spot putty and get anything that I think won't sand out, including the little brad nails from where I installed trim. All right, this Bondo is tough to sand through, so I'm gonna start with 80 grit sandpaper and my random orbital sander because it's gonna be the fastest to move the material. Also, a lot of the tops of these dressers, nightstands, are very damaged, so I want to try to smooth them out, and then I will increase grit to 220 grit. All right, my camera's dying, my work's getting a little bit sloppy, and it's 5:30 on a Friday, so that's a wrap for week 1. Hopefully I can finish prepping Monday or Tuesday and get to painting because this is taking a lot longer than I thought. For all the tight corners that my orbital sander can't fit in, I'm going to be using my detail sander. Now I'm going through and sanding everything with 220 grit sandpaper to really smooth it out. Got to make sure everything's scuff sand so that my primer sticks really well. All right, this is officially my last step of the sanding process. I have 220 grit sanded everything flat with my orbital sander. I've hit all the cracks and corners with my detail sander, and now I have put this little Pro Foam abrasive on my detail sander to get all the curved surfaces. I just want to note that you don't have to have a Surf Prep sander to use their awesome Pro Foam pads. It works really, really good on my detail sander as well, and cordless, so it's just really convenient, especially out here. The prep work is done. We can start priming tomorrow. Okay, today is the day. I went ahead and put the third batch of nightstands in the house to get it out of my way. I'm gonna go ahead and set up my spray tent. I think I'm gonna try to prime the first and second batch all together. And the third batch is gonna be different because I'm using a different primer. I'm using the Reticate primer, so that's gonna be a whole different kind of process. I'm using the Kills 3 water-based stain blocking primer just to avoid any tan and bleed through. My friend Kristen at the Broken Masterpiece actually did a Battle of the Primers test, and this came out to be one of the winners, which is awesome because it is super cheap and it worked phenomenally. Melange also has some great stain blocking primers, and I love the Bin Shellac primer. However, it doesn't always interact well with Melange paints. Okay, that first coat of primer has definitely highlighted some areas I missed when I was prepping. So while that dries, I'm gonna go ahead and clean the dust off of the second batch, and then I'll come back and make any small repairs that I need. I don't know how I missed that one. This is what happens when you work too fast, I guess. Today's the day I finally get to paint, and I'm taking it back to my old school ways of painting on a tarp in the driveway / grass, because that's how I started. I was in the yard of our single wide trailer before I ever had a garage, and it worked just fine. I definitely never thought the day would come that I'm using all of my paint sprayers at once. But I'm gonna go ahead and keep the primer in the home right in case I need to do any spot priming if I get bleed through. And then in this Wagner, I'm gonna be using my off-white paint. For the white, I'm using Melange Modern in the color Epiphany. This is my favorite off-white color. It sells really fast, and it's just like that perfect kind of creamy neutral. I'm using the Melange Modern line of paint because it dries to a hard cabinet enamel finish, so I won't have to worry about doing a top coat. I'm probably going to use the entire quart. I noticed that I have a really bad habit of cutting my head off in these shots because I'm so used to filming my projects vertically, and now doing YouTube, it's like I always think that my head is in the frame, but it's always cut off. I still can't believe it took me an entire day to install hardware yesterday. Today, we are going to be staging everything and listing it for sale on Facebook Marketplace. I always get comments about people hating my last lamp, and I have a feeling that they're gonna hate this one even more. I am absolutely obsessed with how all three of these nightstands turned out. My personal favorite has to be set number 2. I kind of like that they're fraternal twins. They're not identical, but adding that base just really made them the same size, and they're very complementary of each other. Those are my favorite, but I don't think that they're gonna sell first because I think that the modern ones with the new bases will sell first. As far as listing price, I didn't think that it would be fair to price all of the furniture in the nightstands series the same because they have different qualities that kind of affect purchasing price. Set number 2, I priced at $475 because these are large, very quality nightstands. Set number 3, same thing, I priced at $475 because they're really big nightstands. They're really modern. I took the time to build a new base for them, and I really think that they're going to be desirable. Whereas set number 5, I priced a little bit lower at $400 simply because they are smaller nightstands and the fronts of them are actually made of plastic and not all solid wood. So I think that that will affect the purchasing price. I always want my customers to be really happy with what they're getting, and I try to make the price reflect that. As far as the profit breakdown for each set, you can probably do the math in your head on what the profit's going to look like for these 3 nightstands, but I really want to do a full profit breakdown of the entire assembly line in the final video. So make sure you come back for the next 2 videos of the black set, the faux wood set, and then the final profit breakdown. In that final video, I will also be going over which color nightstands sold the best, the fastest, and for the most money. So be sure not to miss it. I'm not good at talking to the camera. Don't do that. Hannah, be a lady. Be a lady.